And I do think the visual social media is, a great place to start too. You can have like one extraordinary quote and just build your audience from there. Yeah. All right, Linda. Oh. Come on now.
Hi, everybody. I am virgin in all respects here. So my name is Linda Maglianico, and I am I'm actually a member of clergy. I'm a spiritual counselor, as well as a certified life coach. And essentially, I have been helping women in particular experience the reverence in their life. I've been teaching and facilitating circles and sacred experiences for 12 and 13 years. And I operate with a temple that's dedicated to the concept of immanent divinity. And the core concept that we're dedicated to is the earth as an expression of the divine feminine. It is the embodiment of the sacred. And all of our rituals, our tools, our practices are dedicated to helping people discover the sacred within themselves and in the world around them. And as a life coach, I work a lot with women, again, who are looking to experience love in their lives. Many of them have had divorces, bad dating experiences, and they're really looking to rediscover love. And so, personally, I've been a witness to a lot of pain. I've been a witness to a lot of yearning, a lot of dreams, and helping people move along their journey. So I feel like, in many ways, I'm like the psychopomp, the Hermes, helping them achieve their dreams. And along the way, one of the things that I've noticed, and it is the reason why I'm here, is a lot of people, when they engage in these spiritual practices, are not actually finding the way to manifest in their lives. We are spiritual beings in corporeal bodies. We're here, we're on the physical plane. We want to achieve, we want better careers, we want love, we want more money, we want abundance. And we have all of these wonderful, amazing tools, but a lot of people that I'm working with just don't seem to know how to manifest. And so I developed this, it's actually a year-long experience that I'm adapting into a book. It's actually a workbook, which I will...
Wrap it up.
Oh, I have to hurry. Okay. So it's a workbook, and I'm also going to be creating like an audio experience, because there's a lot of tools and practices that I use, like guided visualizations and experiences in nature, to help people move into a place of...
So it's going to be a book that's titled what?
The Heart's Pathway to Happiness.
All right.
Yes, and one of the key elements, because we work with nature, is...
Okay, we're going to stop here.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm just getting there. We're just getting there.
Yes, I have so much to say.
I need, and this is generally good advice, I think, for all of you, especially relevant to our last person. I had no idea what genre we were talking about, whether this was even a book, until you said that towards the end. So you need to lead with that. I also would say your religion, it confused me. You were saying you're a member of the clergy, then you mentioned a temple, then you mentioned, I wanted to know, are you affiliated with conventional religion, or are you more of a sort of new age, or like where are you falling in that landscape? I think that pitching, I've actually represented a lot of spirituality books, and I found that you need to establish your platform. It's very, very important. With spirituality, new age, anything like that. I would not mention the audio up front. Again, that's like publishers go, no, I'm not ready to take that leap yet, so we'll mention that once we have a contract. Or in a conversation with an editor, we can mention it as an option, but not that your book comes with the necessary audio component. Okay. So they don't want to feel that. And I would say you need to situate yourself vis-a-vis other spiritual leaders, other more, like, you could say, I'm like John Kabat-Zinn, or I'm like, whoever it might be, Martha Beck, or you would like to coach on her. What is your approach? How do you situate yourself in the general field of life coaching and spirituality? Are you like Mark Nico, or are you like, right? I don't know if you're familiar with these names, but these are like the big wigs, in this field. Okay. think about how your work and what is your unique contribution. Because the Hearts pathway, it sounds generic to me, it's not resonating for me, it's not specific enough, it could work, but I'm not getting enough in the sense of what your unique way of helping. I like the notion of nature, but I want more. A little bit more, a few concrete tools that you use.
In keeping with that, and I think you've summed it up, Priscilla, because I do handle a lot of self-help, some of it in the spiritual category, mind, body, spirit.
Yeah.
There's always that question, how is this book different and better?
Yes.
The first thing to do is to look on Amazon, put in the keywords, and see what your competition is.
Yeah.
Because like it or not, you'll be judged against it.
Yes.
And then you have to figure out what your, if not unique hook is, that what do you bring to it? And it might even be the language that helps touch your readership in a particular way that hasn't been reached out to before. But if it's more of the same, it's not interesting. And it's not going to compete effectively unless you are already branded in a way that's obvious.
And just out of curiosity, have you ever seen a person who's, let's say, been very, very successful with guided imagery or audible.com as a following? You start there, that's their real strength, and then go to books?
Indeed, I am representing an author now, very virally, intensely successful. The book makes sense as an outgrowth of that.
Or think about Chris Carr, the Crazy Sexy Cancer woman. I mean, that came out of the documentary. I was on a panel with her at the Woodstock Writers Festival. She spoke about, starting with this documentary. It was made about her cancer experience. Then she started blogging. Then it became books. Now it's a cookbook. She's self-publishing some of her books. She's a publisher. There's lots of them.
Differentiation. If it's more of the same, it's not interesting.
Okay.
And I really liked your nature thing. I thought it was I mean, I'm a romanticist, so I like.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Liz, take it.
No, I agree with both of those, all of the thoughts so far. And I think if audio is your thing, do a podcast. Put out there.
I also think you're too pretty just for audio, and I really wouldn't think.
You look great. You have a great look for a new age spirituality person. I mean, I look comforting. To me, you look pretty and comforting.
And she has a genuineness that really comes through in
I
person.
agree.
Like, frankly, I'm more interested in you, and I want to connect with you versus what I've heard on the page. So I want you to elevate your language and your uniqueness to what you're presenting. So I totally believe that you have a thriving practice and that people want to connect with you. So figure out how to raise your game in how you're communicating it.
Okay.
All right?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Jean-Pierre? Just one more thing that I just thought I'd mention. There was a woman named Jane Kramer, right? Who made a huge virtue, Linda, and she wrote about letting her hair go gray, and she made a whole personal journey. And I don't know what blog topics or whatever, maybe you in conversation, thinking about people that you want to connect with over, like I know that Priscilla, for instance, again, follow her feed. She interviews people on her blog, and she is on other people's blogs of people that she has an affinity for. So that might be somebody you might want to just write a letter to. I have to say, consistently, when I write an earnest and substantive letter to people in the arts, they are always positively, I get great responses.
Your hair is awesome. I agree.
Yeah. And your hair is awesome too.
I kind of get it because I got the grade. Moonshine, murder, and dark magic. These are the ingredients brewing in my completed urban fantasy novel, Black Saturday. This is the first installment of a proposed series aimed at fans of Kevin Hearn's The Iron Druid Chronicles and Jim Butcher's Dresden Files, but with a bit of class conflict woven into the folklore. In Black Saturday, 28-year-old Randall Toussaint, an African-American former journalist turned corporate spin doctor, left his home in Habsburg, Pennsylvania, before his family's legacy of street magic and moonshine landed him in jail or worse. He comes back to town in response to the disappearance of one of his cousins and the reemergence of a mercurial young woman Randall once saved, or so he thinks. Habsburg is a town with three faces that hides lies extending back to the American Revolution. Back alley mages sell talismans in the ghetto called Silk Town and use their skills to pull confidence tricks. Their wealthy warlock rivals in the Evergreen Borough, in contrast, use emotional blackmail to fuel their arcane power. Meanwhile, sightseers, the oblivious suckers played by both sides, take ghost tours through Middle Village, unaware of the new war about to spill onto Habsburg's cobblestones. When Chaka, Randall's cousin, vanishes in Silktown, the détente between the rival syndicates of mages begins to unravel. Chaka is a prodigy with a long-coveted power that may have summoned Danya, who might not be exactly what she seems. Her secret, and Chaka's disappearance, could erode the borders of magic and death. Now Randall must scour the town for the enemy threatening to destroy his family.
Handled the genre, I think it was a competent pitch, but it started to sound like a synopsis more than a pitch. In fact, I think it should be scrunched. I think there's too much information, and I have a long attention span. I would say that if there's anything about you, again, I want to know about you. I mean, is this just out of a dream life? Or is it based on other writing or what have you? If there's any personal information that would help me connect even further, I'd love to know it.
Yeah, your background, your bio lends authenticity depending on your background. I remember helping somebody sell an article to the Wall Street Journal, and it was a book about archaeology, and she wouldn't mention this in most other pitches, but when she pitched the culture pages of the Wall Street Journal, she mentioned that she was a archaeology minor in college, and that she had done a summer doing a dig in the Middle East, and that was the subject of the book. So it gave an edge, and so you want to think about, like, even if it's just something like I've read 30,000 young adult books or whatever, that can be relevant.
I thought you started out great. I mean, Rita and I looked at each other and thought, yeah, this is off to a good start. Yeah, your title was good, it started well, but then it just lapsed into complete synopsis, and at the end I stopped paying attention. I really did. Overloaded, and I wanted more of you, especially. Now, did you say this was? I also am not sure I heard the genre. You said it was
Urban fantasy.
Urban fantasy for adults. Okay, because you need to say adults. Fantasy, particularly, people will think YA these days, so you want to say for adults. And I do think that your background is even more important with like thrillers and fantasy books, because there's some, like, if you think about like John Grisham, there's so many of these writers who've become successful as thriller writers, their bio is really highlighted. The interest of like what your experience is that has led you to do this. I think it's crucial, and I think you should end with that. Have you written anything, published anything?
I've been a journalist for 16 years, but nothing in fiction has been published.
Okay, but you've been a journalist for 16 years. That's crucial. Yeah. Liz?
No, I would agree in the sense that you had me hooked in from the first sentence, and then I found myself, why am I not focused on this anymore? So I think that is a good note to see. And maybe it is the fact that it was a little less about the tease of the promise of what I will see, as opposed to a plot layout.
And again, practice with your friends. Read things aloud. See if they are relating to it. It's the old-fashioned focus group, and it works. All right. Helga. Be mindful of the tripod.
Oh, yes, very much so. Easier this way. Thank you. Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. This is a mock something to give you a sense of the feels that I have.
Thanks.
So my name is Amalia Pena, and the title of my nonfiction book is Make Every Day Spa Day. A Guide to Extraordinary Family Caregiving. When I took on caring for my mother after she had had a massive stroke, I was unable to find a single book that showed me how to manage her daily needs in a way that was thorough, creative, or inspiring. The book that I'm writing is the book I wish existed then. The title, Make Everyday Spa Day, comes from a ritual I developed with one of our home health aides, which I refer to, of course, as Spa Day. My mother was bathed every day, and every day we changed her sheets and nightgowns. But 2 or 3 times a week, she would get the full Monty, which involved about upwards of 4 hours of an hour massage, acupressure treatment, a haircut if necessary, a manicure and a pedicure also if necessary, and punctuated by her favorite Yanni CD. And the fact that she didn't ask for it, I played it for her, I think, excuse me, was some measure of my profound devotion to her. So, in my book, I talk about the nitty-gritty aspects of daily life for someone like my mother, who was bedbound. She was virtually speechless, and over time, over the 4 years that I took care of her before she passed away, her cognitive abilities increasingly were diminishing. And so the nitty-gritty aspects of her daily life is one of the aspects of my book that I believe separates and distinguishes from other types of books that are written by caregivers, including family caregivers, in that I talk about the things that the rest of us would rather not think about or much less discuss or have much experience with, such as cleaning up diarrhea, suctioning mucus. I know there are probably more than one person in the room right now who's extremely uncomfortable, but I think that speaking about this and certainly writing about it in the book that I want to publish and share will make a difference with a number of people who find themselves in the situation that I found myself with my mother. And I think that that's the contribution that ultimately would make. Now, every detail that I incorporated in the book about my mother's daily life, which I share, with all of it was consciously designed to promote her well-being and to let her know in subtle and as well as direct ways that she was very much loved and honored. And it also gave me, on a daily basis, the reassurance that I was doing the best that I could. Oh, sorry, okay. The best that I could, I can also read a lot faster. The best that I could to promote for her the best quality of life. So in writing this book, my commitment is to offer a modern style of caregiving that will transform the lives of family caregivers, for them to understand that being in that kind of situation doesn't have to be sad. In fact, it can be very joyful. From being confused, you can introduce order into your life. From struggling, you can introduce ease. From frumpiness, you can introduce beauty. And also from an ordinary existence, you can actually make it quite, I don't know why I'm so moved, but quite fulfilling and extraordinary. So another aspect of the book, and I'll try to do it say it very quickly. Okay. Oh, no, that's all right. I know, and I'm so grateful for all the time that all of you have given. Oh, thank you.
I'm so moved by this project, and the minute that I looked at your title, I loved it. I will say that I have a lot of experience with caregiving, and when I was in my second year of graduate school, my mother-in-law was dying of breast cancer. She was 54, and my husband and I took her off from school and took care of her for a year with hospice. In my book, my memoir, I talk about my father who's dying of lung cancer and how my stepmother basically did what you're describing, which is set up a beautiful environment for him, make all the aspects of the seemingly mundane or oppressive or sad aspects of his daily care into affirming things and into beautiful things. And my book, The Anti-Romantic Child, a story of unexpected joy. I mean, the message is exactly what you're trying to convey, looking at a dire, dark situation where you're caregiving and trying to make it beautiful. But I think that the pitch itself, you oscillate too much between when you say, well, I talk about these things that other people don't talk about, like suctioning mucus and diarrhea. And then 2 minutes later, you talk about how, oh, and I also talk about beauty. I want you to put those in the same sentence. So that you say, when I talk about diapering, I talk about ways to make it more humane. So that it's not that, because you stopped and you said, oh, here's a moment where people are feeling uncomfortable. And we're feeling uncomfortable because you're not giving us the art there. You're just giving us the dark, and then and we don't know how you get from the dark to the light. And I want you to give us a sense of that. One other question I have for you. Advanced praise. Those are made up. Okay. Okay. But it gives us a good opportunity to make a point, which one of the biggest things that turns off agents is when you say, I have already gotten blurbs from, or I think I will be able to get blurbs from these people, unless it's certain, unless you've got it. Or if you say, I can get a recommendation from this person. We had a joke around the agency that we would call up the people that people cited, and they would often say, I don't know who that person is. So never oversell yourself with endorsements or anything like that. But I love putting it in the context of the Lindberghs, some of my very favorite authors. I mean, Gift from the Sea, my next book, is kind of a new difference. So I get that. I get where you're going with that. I would weave it into the pitch, those types of things. But I love the idea, and I really think we could do a great execution.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I do appreciate when what is mundane and unattractive ordinarily is infused with grace, so that you accomplish that, and certainly I feel the heart connection. I think as a category, this is a difficult one. Forgive me for being the reality check on the panel, but I know that there's a ho-hum reaction too often in the industry because this is a much published category, and very often even the beautifully written version is trumped by the celebrity version. So you're up against that. What I would recommend is, because there's obviously a story there, is to create a resume for the book. And that's my way of saying, don't be afraid of smaller versions of this, the lives column, etc. One way to get a byline for the book, to create interest for the book, to traction, basically, however you can. And get readers' reaction that helps steer you about where the interest really is, and maybe the hole you're really filling with this work. Because I go out with the presumption that this is not an easy category, and that you've got to be doubly good to make a difference.
Yeah, and I do think this is a case of you can also sample your book in the sense of you seem to have a lot of knowledge and a lot of ideas, like that are tangible ideas, not just like a point of view or my story.
Right.
So you can actually put those out there again as samples of what it is you have to offer. And I think you just come across so authentic and so real. And this is not about, oh, look at the horrible tragedy I've been through. It is truly a genuine, this is how we can help people. This is how we can make something that's considered so horrible a really beautiful thing. And just keep putting that out there, because that is what drew me in.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off of that. I just think that the fact that you, for yourself, the caregiver, had joy totally blows my mind, because I'm feeling sorry for you. Okay, I'm reading this like, oh my God, I don't know if I have that in me. And the fact that you can authentically say that, that's really huge. And demonstrate that. So thank you. Carol Ward, mind the tripod.
Hi, my name is Carol Ward, and I'm a psychotherapist and the author of 2 self-help books, one by Career Press and one by Berkeley. And I don't know about you, but before I became a therapist, I had a lot of different jobs. But the one that influenced me the most was the one I had right before I started my private practice. I was a professional dog walker. And as a professional dog walker, I walked all around the city taking care of dogs, and I took from how I took what I observed with those dogs, and I used them on my patients in my practice. My book proposal is called Leash Lessons from Dog Parks to People Smarts. Because when you walk through the streets of New York with 5 or 6 dogs, people talk to you. They tell you things like you wouldn't believe. And they talk to your dogs. And they share things with the dogs about the dogs they've lost, the memories that they have. And these dogs changed me as well. I look at my book as a hybrid of a memoir, self-help book, a la Janine Roth, her book Lost and Found or Breaking Free, where she shares her life journey, but she also shares information and guidance for people to help them live better lives. Because I have to tell you, when people talk about dogs, they light up and they really feel touched in the hearts. And I just want to share that there are 46 million households with dogs. And people spend $53.3 billion on dog care. Spas, books, pet care, and I really feel that there's a place for leash lessons in that mix. There are a lot of books that are about practical dog walking, such as Cesar Millan. There are books like Marley and Me, which is about one dog. But my book is really about a variety of dogs, and people can relate to a variety of dogs. People love dogs, and dogs are change agents for people. And I really believe that Leash Lessons as a book, from dog parks to people smarts, can be a change agent on a larger scale for people in the world. Thank you.
It's funny because, and this is an inside publishing thing that you might not know, but I'm sure that Rita will back me up on this. So far tonight, we've had a bunch of phrases that turn editors and publishers off. Dog books, I mean, everybody wants dog books. You don't have to make the case that we need dog books. You don't have to talk about how many people have dogs. You don't need to talk about the money spent on dogs. It's like, at our agency, we'd sit around the table with all the agents from England. That's like, anybody have a dog book? You know, I mean, it's a built-in, so that's, don't waste your time doing that. The thing that lost me though, what are the lessons? I'm confused. Because you say that you're walking the dogs, but then you immediately switch to the people that talk to you while you're walking the dogs. And I didn't understand, there's nothing about the actual dogs. There's nothing about the specific dogs and what you learn from them. So I don't get really what your take is from that pitch.
Yeah, it's a little confusing.
Oh, sorry.
The content, which of course is key here, was absent. So I think you kind of missed the chance to
one or 2 points that like to hook us, like, oh,
that's right.
So insightful.
And frankly, I'm canine deprived, but a definite
Chocolate and dogs, girl.
I have no reason to exist. But I do wonder, frankly, why they're color coordinated, these groups of dogs, or size coordinated. Maybe you have an answer for that. I mean, that's a reason to buy the book, if you ask me. But more seriously, I think that the takeaway is the key to this. And I guess it's positioned as a self-help based on your other books. So most definitely I want to know what I can learn from it that is worth the $20 bill. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. Like the concept is great. I would like a little content in there to know what exactly you did learn. And I honestly, I think that I love that you have credentials, that you're writing a self-help book with actual credentials. And the dog walker is the one that really got me. It's like, oh, 1,000 therapists can write a self-help book, but a dog walker? No, I think that's really what makes it fascinating.
I'm the hybrid, literally. But I also think that you could have a lot of fun with this. Like I hope that, for instance, Heather will maybe document how she does her portraits, and in the same way, maybe, I don't know if you took pictures with the dogs, like again, it could be fodder for a blog or something like that, and it's like you have a picture of the dog, like on Facebook, they have all these like sunsets with Gandhi quotes, which are, become such a cliche, but wouldn't it be hilarious if like this dog inspired this insight and you have this fabulous picture of a dog? I don't know if you take pictures. And even if you don't, the point is to try to think about ways to get those teasers out there to get people interested. I was completely impressed with your bona fides, and so I just think that it's going to be an easy sell. Maria.
My name is
introduction of my 57,000-word young adult novel titled There's Always a Way Out. To any teenage boy, the words, "I'm pregnant," are his two least favorite words, especially when they come from the girl he slept with 3 months before. Well, to any teenage boy, except for Colton Kelly, who saw what most would think of as a burden as an opportunity. Starting his own family was a pretty good way of getting away from his original family, or so he thought. All he wanted was to not have to hear his mother say that she was going on a business trip to California, when he clearly saw the plane tickets to Europe. All he wanted was to not have to sit by and watch as his brother slowly destroyed himself through drug usage. All he wanted was to not have to shield his younger sister from his uncontrollable veteran father who could lash out at any moment. Not only would getting away from his family mean avoiding the present, but it would mean avoiding their expectations. More specifically, his father's expectations that he join the military upon graduating high school. It takes him 9 months, 2 tragedies, and 1 confession to realize the real reason why he can't fulfill his father's expectations. He's scared. We all get scared sometimes. We all hide from our fears. We blame our human nature on so many things, but worst of all, others. But we need to recognize this fear in order to overcome it. In this novel, the reader may learn more about themselves than they're comfortable knowing.
I will tell you how old she is after you guys give your critique.
I liked it that you started out with a 67,000-word YA novel. I feel that was really good.
Signposting, yes.
But also not just signposting, but accurate signposting. Like you've done your research, you know how long YA novel is supposed to be. That's very good. And I like your premise. And the basic advice that I didn't like, all he wanted was this, all he wanted was that, like, you did it 3 times, so obviously that wasn't all he wanted, because there were 3 things that he wanted, so by the end I was kind of like, huh, that's confusing me. And then you said something like, it went kind of quickly for me, I was very interested, it never lost my attention, but you said something like, and it takes 2 tragedies, something good, and one's out, okay, that's good pitching language, you know, for YA particularly, it's very catchy, but then the takeaway was kind of weak, where you said, to fear or something. That was like what it ended up with. That he realized that he was scared. And it was like that, it took all those things for him to realize that he was scared. That just didn't seem to me to be enough of a takeaway.
Well, her last line was like, I think you'll be uncomfortable, you'll know things you're uncomfortable knowing.
Yeah, and that I didn't like as a last line. I thought, I don't think you want to leave a potential agent being like, ooh, people are going to feel uncomfortable. If you say that, then you have to say something about how the book is going to help people become more comfortable, and it's going to be a reassuring book for teenagers to read, because through the adventures of your protagonist, they're going to learn to confront their own fears, and they're going to learn to express themselves better, whatever it might be, something other than just like, it's just, you know, it's not a horror or fantasy novel, so you don't want them to be left with a discomforted feeling.
Threatened to be a synopsis too, but I went with it because of your delivery. I don't handle YA, but I'd like to see it. So that's enough.
And I think you do have, like, you're setting up a really fascinating character with a lot of conflict. I'd like to see his Instagram. You know what I mean? No, seriously.
Seriously, brilliant.
Like in the character.
Channel the character.
Use
Love
it.
it.
Yeah.
And Twitter.
Is it third person or first person?
This is the first book. I've written other books. This was the first one I ever wrote, so it's been the most edited.
But is it in the first person or the third person?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, first person.
Okay, we need to know that. We need to get his voice.
Okay.
I have a huge professional crush on you. I just think you're fantastic. And she is 16 years old. And I say that to I really admire your professionalism, and I'm not just being nice, like, oh, nice little kid, you know, keep it up. You're really, really professional job, and I think that the critique you got was helpful, but really, I hope you stay with it, and I hope you take Rita up on her offer, okay? All right, we're about to wrap up, but I saved a great finale for you. So all of you, please stick around. Wanted to thank all of the pitchers for tonight, and I really do hope that you use what you got here tonight as a springboard to taking your work to the next step to a wonderful reality. There's so many people to thank, but the top ones I have to thank are Michelle Resnick, our wonderful events producer who you saw flitting around, a brilliant officious butterfly. We have Samantha Cooper, who's unfortunately not here tonight, our project manager, our wonderful videographer, Ian McKenzie. Nino at Iguana, and Flavio, our bartender. Flavio. And if any of you would like to have a free consultation with me, please find me or let one of the people at the door know about that. I'm really excited to announce that we're doing some new things at Ideasmyth. We have the wonderful Catherine. Gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm tongue-tied after all you guys being so great tonight. Catherine Westling is teaching 2 classes and 1 evening seminars. On August 7th, we have one about advanced internet research, both for your life and for your writing. And it's not just for nonfiction writers. A lot of great books that sell well have real authenticity in their. As you probably know, Tom Wolfe started out as a nonfiction writer, and that's one reason why his books do so well is because they're so heavily researched. Another course that she's doing is public speaking, and that will be on September 10th. And then I'm teaching 2 courses this August. They're 4-week intensives for August. One is preparing your book for book submission and agent submission for the fall market. And the other one is building your platform through various forms of writing, social media, website, how to create a good event, etc. So that will be a 4-week course as well. Also, want to make sure if you haven't had the opportunity to find the wonderful Katie here, she has been doing these photographs that we're going to be posting on our website of everybody's pitches, because I know that a lot of you didn't get to pitch tonight, and you will get your fame on the internet. Anyway, so now we have Lois Barth. Please welcome.
Hello, my name is Lois Barth, and I'm a motivational speaker and a coach, and I'd like to pitch my first flagship book called Loisisms: Lessons, Opportunities, Insights, and Solutions. Playful and practical strategies for dealing with life's challenges, big and small. And one of the things that I think, and I constantly get feedback from my clients as well as the groups that I speak to that really sets me apart, is that I'm able to take really rich, layered, nuanced concepts and make them exceedingly mainstream and even fun. Imagine that. Personal growth that's actually fun. No more like what I call the TE of personal growth, which is terminal earnestness. No, I don't like that. So basically, what I like to do is take very rich layered concepts, as I mentioned, and what the feedback I get from my clients as well as my participants is they actually embed the Loisism into the cultures in which I speak at, as well as my clients. I'll often hear clients saying, I thought of Loisism as I was trying to get a raise or break up or start a relationship. And so I really feel that it has a lot of life to it. I also want to look at it to take my platform to the next level. Just a few words. I was a life coach for 3 national campaigns, Self-Fitness and Fit Blog makeover campaigns. And as a source expert, I've been quoted in over a dozen national media outlets. And I also have a regular TV spot on the Connecticut Style, which is like the Good Morning America of New Haven. So basically, I really want to look to take my work to the next level. And the other thing is that, well, just to talk a little bit about my Loisisms. So they're pithy little sound bites that have a little bit of a thought-provoking, or actually a lot of a thought-provoking. And one of them is metamorphosis. So metamorphosis, I'm sure some of you may even be able to relate, is the feeling that you're actually having a breakdown, but you're actually having a breakthrough. Then my favorite, inspiration, where it's like two feelings in one. It's the experience of envying somebody, but using it as a roadmap to actually be inspired. And then the last one is drowning in a sea of self-importance, which is when your life gets really small because you're the only one in it. So basically what I would love to do is I would love to hear feedback on titles, on any, and also to use my speaking to get to the next level. If maybe I should use a different venue for the Loisisms. Maybe they could be a rollout of DVD series. So I just would love and welcome your feedback. Thank you very much.
The first thing that occurred to me is Vine or Instagram now have these little short 6-second videos. And because you're so charismatic, I thought it'd be fun to have a few of those. You can just deploy those or have them be embedded in. I know you have this great newsletter. So that's just one thing that immediately occurred to me. I don't know, Liz, if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, those are, Instagram has a 15-second, Vine has a 6-second, and they are fun to experiment with. And I think you do have, I think you have something tangible here. You know, you already have a platform in a way, the Loisisms, and I like that you actually have examples in the pitch, because it could have been too lofty without it. And I think, yeah, because they're short, you put them out there wherever you can. And I think too, there was something else I was going to say, but it escapes me. I'll remember and I'll catch you later, but it's great.
I think I love your energy. I just loved you. Like, I just think when you speak, I think you took too long to get to the specific Loisisms. Because, and I also don't think that you could probably call a first book without a major national platform Loisisms, because we don't know who Lois is yet. So I think you might want to come up with another title, but in the pitch, say that throughout the book, you're going to be sharing your Loisisms. Because you're not Oprah, you're not Rosie, you're not someone who is known and no one's going to know what that means. When you said that you were on the New Haven show, and when you started mentioning your credentials, I immediately perked up and looked at Victoria and was like, oh, okay, yeah, I think we need to get that up quicker. I thought the first minute or so was empty to me, because you weren't giving it, start your pitch with the Loisism, maybe.
There's a New York Times column, which you might be aware of, in the magazine section. I've forgotten, it's a very thumbnail piece that written by a woman, Lizzie Skurnick, and 2 words are collapsed and then become a new kind of word that captures a zeitgeist previously
Oh, that's a great idea.
unrecorded in a word. And you wonder why it hadn't been coined before. So it sounded familiar that way. I don't know to what degree it's book-worthy, even though it's titillating. Can you do a 60-page, 90-page book out of that? And if you can't, if they don't stand up alone, what else has to be there to give it gravitas? So those are the questions I have. Is it book-worthy? And if not, how else can you use it? And some of the other ideas have been examined.
Anything else?
Yeah, no, it kind of reminded me, they're like psychological sniglets. That's what, if you remember what a sniglet is.
Wonderful, thank you. So that wraps up our program. I feel like I'm not going to keep you here, I'm not going to lock the doors, but there's so much that goes into producing an event. I really hope you all loiter afterwards so I get to talk to you while I'm having a good time. So thank you, wonderful panelists, truly, for all of your great insights. I learned a lot myself. Thank you all for being such a fantastic audience, and have a wonderful